Hello, and welcome to another episode of Aligned Heart. This is Misty Springer, and I am excited to be with you on this podcast. Is it overwhelm or a call inward? That's what we're going to be discussing today. But before we dive into that, I wanted to let you all know about something I'm really excited about. It's a group coaching program, and this is just encompassing everything that my world has to offer into one little package. So it's group coaching, it's the teachings that I offer, workshops, it's breath work, it is one-on-one access to me through Voxer. It's all the things, but it's done in a group setting so I can reach more people and so that you can have that really amazing experience of hearing your story told or heard by someone else and feeling the transformation that happens as you sit in a room with other women who are ready to grow and expand and are in the same space that you are. So if that's something that interests you, it's just reach out. I would love to chat more with you about it, but that's just something that is on my radar and wanted to share it with all of you. So I've been having this conversation lately with so many different women, and it's resonating because I feel the exact same way. And I have been experiencing a lot of the same feelings, and I wanted to put it out there because I know that if it's in the conversations that I'm having and I'm experiencing myself, there's many of you that are probably going through the same thing. And what I'm hearing is that I feel overwhelmed. I feel burnt out. I feel unmotivated. I feel like my brain is in a million different places. I feel like the things that I used to be able to focus on and do, I just can't anymore. It just seems like I'm not myself. And the things that used to light me up no longer light me up. And I was having this conversation with a good friend of mine, and she said, it's not that I don't want to do these things. She and I run retreats for a business. And she said, I just can't. I just feel like I don't have the capacity right now. And what I am hearing over and over is that there are so many women who feel this way, and there's a lot of judgment around that for some. For some, there's a feeling of I'm just being lazy. I feel unmotivated. They'll blame it on hormones or seasonal depression. And what I am offering today, and as I've been pondering this, because again, as I've said, I've felt in the exact same place myself, is that what if it is not lazy or unmotivated? Because from that space, we feel like we need to push or force ourselves to move into a different direction. If I just get busy enough, if I just get structured enough, if I just get moving, then I'll break out of this funk and then I'll be back to my normal self. But what if this was actually a call inward? What if there was a divine design? What if there's a season, just like there's a season when you look at nature, there's a season of harvest and a season of growth, and there's a season of hibernation. What if there are seasons in our life that we are being called into hibernation and rest? And what if there is an absolutely divine design to it? And so as I was contemplating and thinking about this, it feels like there is this unsettled feeling. Sometimes it feels like our life feels like a snow globe, like there's just all sorts of flurry and fluster, and the wind is whipping, and we're just kind of standing in the middle of the storm, and it feels like my thoughts are a million places and my energy can't get focused. And what if there was a call to just be still, to let all the snowflakes settle, to let everything settle so that then a clear picture can be unveiled? That there's something that we learn about ourselves in the stopping that allows us to see more clearly, not just ahead of us, but the picture that's being formed about what's next and what God has in store for you. So I have actually been learning about this. My friend introduced me to a word, Shmita. And Shmita in Hebrew is a sacred pause. It's a sabbatical. It's where the term sabbatical actually came from. And I didn't realize that sabbatical is actually every 7 year, it's a Sabbath of the harvest. So every 7 years, the Hebrews would take a rest from their harvest, from planting, from harvesting for profit, from doing any of the typical normal production that they would do. And it was a time of release and forgiveness of debts. That every 7 years there was something cleansing about this. And as I've thought about this and contemplated this, that if this was something that God had commanded his people to do, there was a reason behind it. And maybe there's something that we have to learn from this as well. So why would God ask this? If there were a divine design behind this Shmita, this time of sacred pause, this time of release and forgiveness, what might that be? And I've come up with a couple of thoughts around that. The first is it's a gateway to abundance. Now, that might seem a little bit contradictory because you might think, well, gosh, if I'm stopping everything that I'm doing, how can that be a gateway to abundance? And yet, as you look in this concept of Shmita and sabbatical, 7 year sabbatical is found in Leviticus 25 and Deuteronomy 15. And in Leviticus 25, it talks about the sabbatical, but in Leviticus 26, it talks about after the sabbatical, what they can expect after the sabbatical. And what is there is fascinating. There is an increase. There is an abundance of rain, abundance of crops, abundance of yield. And that's the clue that I think is really powerful as we take a look at why in the world we would take a sabbatical. So as we think about this sabbatical, this time of rest, this time of hibernation, it is a gateway to abundance. And that's because when we rest, then we reap. That in the letting go, in the trust, that builds faith. And faith is the miracle maker. Faith is the gateway to abundance. So our belief or our faith, right, they're synonymous. The more we increase our faith, the more miracles we see. And I see this as an equation that our belief or our faith plus God's power equals a miracle. So that when God's power is constant, it's always there. Our faith and belief is what wavers. So the more God can increase our faith, the more access we have to his power, which increases the miracles or the abundance in our life. So of course, God is going to ask us to do everything and anything to increase our faith, including letting go of the control of the harvest and just resting in him. So first, it's a gateway to abundance. The second reason for the sabbatical or the Shmita is that we live in the miracle daily. We get to experience a miracle daily. Everything is a miracle when we surrender our control. When I see money coming in, when I haven't when I have put my effort into creating the money and the money is flowing in. When I'm trading time for money, that feels like me being here creates the money. When I let go and trust and I say, okay, I have a spiritual idea. I have a principle that I'm teaching, and I'm leveraging spiritual concepts in order to create abundance. That allows me to step into the miracle. If I see an apple growing on the tree, for example, if in that year of, of sabbatical, the the Hebrews were asked not to harvest, but they could harvest anything. They were asked not to harvest for profit, but they could harvest anything that was already growing on the trees. So if I go out and I look at this apple that's growing on the tree and I see it there, without me putting in the time and the effort and the energy to fertilize, to grow, to plant, knowing that, of course, I did those all the years before, but in this year, I just get to rest, that I give myself permission to rest, and the apple is still there. How much does that feel like a miracle? How much more does that feel like a miracle than if I'm out 7 days a week fertilizing, planting, sowing, trying to get the apple to grow? When we let go and trust, we get to live in the miracle. We get to recognize the power of God in our lives, that it's there constantly, and that we give ourselves the permission to rest, especially when we're resting in God. Okay, so that's principle number 2. We get to live in the miracle daily. Principle number 3, we build spiritual resilience. How much more belief does it take to let go of control? We talked about belief plus the God's power equals the miracle. How much more belief does it take when things are out of my control? I have to believe a lot more in order for me to access the right access the miracle, right? So I am I have to believe much bigger to trust in God and an abundant universe when I let go of control and lean into God's timeline. When we are trusting in ourselves and our own timeline, the belief is in ourselves. The belief is in my control. If I'm out there hoeing the field, my belief is in my hoeing is creating the miracle. Instead of my hoeing is a co-creation with God with a miracle. So principle number 4, I create holy certainty. Holy certainty is a certainty that we can build, we can step into the unknown and build certainty not in ourselves or in things or in circumstances, but in our trust, our inner trust. So when we try to build certainty on things or circumstances, when we try to put my certainty when I have X number of clients, then I will be successful. When I have when my job situation looks like X, then I will be successful or worthwhile. When my body looks a certain way, then I will feel confident and worthy. When I put my certainty or my confidence in external circumstances, it's shaky. It doesn't feel there's no certainty that is real. It's a false certainty. A holy certainty is that I can trust that there is an abundant God and that He is working through me and that we can build something together. It's increased confidence in an inward certainty. I get to lean on God and the certainty and the foundation that is there. I've been experiencing that quite a bit lately as my life has been in quite a bit of upheaval with quite a few circumstances going on in my life that have put me in a place of feeling very much like I've never felt so like I'm stepping into a void. There is like I'm taking one tiny step forward with a little match lighting each next step. But what allows me to move forward is the confidence in knowing that right next to me, I have a God that is guiding each of those steps. That gives me the certainty and the confidence to take the next step forward. It's not the trust in myself. If it was simply the trust in myself, I would feel like I didn't know the way. I didn't know how this was going to turn out. I don't know what's happening. It would feel very uncertain. But because I have that certainty in God, that God is helping to guide each step forward, I know that no matter what happens, it's taking me in the direction I need to go. And then finally, the next principle is, who do you become on the other side? Who do you become on the other side of this sabbatical, this time of rest? There's a concept called holy humility, and my coach offered this to me, and I love this concept. Holy humility is not a trust in, like, it's not a boastful confidence. It's a co-creation. I see holy humility as co-creation. I am a steward of the gifts that God has given me. I am using the gifts and the talents to move my work forward in the world. I am co-creating with God. I am an instrument in his hands. And this allows me to create in the physical world. Yes, I plant the seed, but God uses spiritual laws to create abundance from that seed. I plant the seed, but God is the one that provides the light and the rain and the sunshine and the soil, and allows the actual creation process for that seed to grow. There is a beautiful co-creation that can happen when I let go and trust that once my seed is planted, God helps it to grow. And how much more do I get to trust in that when I let go of control and take that sacred rest, take that sabbatical, that time of pause, that time to just be. Also another thing on who I become is where my motivation comes from. If I am motivated from a place of hustle, and I have to create something in order to feel worthy, to feel okay, to feel like I'm successful, it feels like it's all up to me. And that can feel heavy, that leads to burnout, that leads to that feeling of I just can't do this anymore. And so, yes, if you are feeling some burnout, it is a time in this sacred pause to take a step back and say, where am I being motivated from? Am I motivated from a place of I need to be successful in order to feel okay? Or do I come back to this place of sacred pause, find and rest in who I truly am, get to know who I truly am, get to know myself as God sees me? And when I can operate from that place, that's when I go out into the world and create from a very different motivation. It's not from hustle, it's from flow. It's not from I have to, it's from I get to. One of the things that I think also comes from this is you get to trust your intuition. When you are in a place of rest, you learn to listen deeply. You learn to hear what is actually being said from your heart space. The noise in your head is going to take you in the direction of I have to create this in order to feel okay. Motivation from your heart comes from a place of I get to fulfill my divine design because this is who I am meant to be. One of the fears that we have and why we fight against stillness is that it feels like if I just stop, I'm going to sit on the couch and eat bonbons all day. That, like, naturally, I'm just going to be so lazy, I'm never going to get up and do anything. And I have found that to be unequivocally untrue. that there is a call in our heart, that there are times where we're asked to take a sacred pause and we're asked to go inward, but it's never because we're just going to sit on the couch and be lazy for the next 15 years. We may be quiet and still. There may be a time that we can let go of the guilt and give ourselves permission to sit. And that's when we can hear the voice more clearly that says, yes, you are whole, you are perfect, and you are meant for more. So I hope that this lands for all of you as you think about your time of turning inward. What is here for you? Is this a time of burnout, or is it a time of hibernation? Is it a time of a sacred pause? Is it your time of sabbatical? Are you being called inward for a very good reason to find out who you truly are, to increase your belief and your trust, to build that holy certainty in yourself, in God, and trust that abundance is waiting on the other side? You're just being asked to step into a flow instead of hustling towards it. So thank you all for being here. I appreciate all of you. If this is something that resonates with you, please share this episode. I'm also going to create a meditation in the episode that accompanies this. So please drop into that. We're going to embody this whole concept of a sacred pause, a sacred sabbatical, and see what's here for you. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.